No, there are none.
Similar plants?
What?
Rather than hormones?
Menopause.
Well, yes, she told me that her sister had been having a bad menopause, and she gave her this same thing. And it took her through menopause. Well, I know one that's very good for menopause. It's not a contraceptive, but there is one for any dysmenorrhea. I gave it to the maid, a little girl who had very severe cramps and hemorrhaging. I fixed her up in a day or so, and then the people I was staying with, Lilith was going through menopause and having a bad time with the hot flashes and all that, and hemorrhaging. And I gave her, suggested she try it. I'd planted it in her garden a couple of years before when I was there, and because it has pretty flowers. And she took it.
What is it? Could you spell that?
It's an iris. They call it Yawar Piri Piri. Yawar means blood, and Piri Piri means piri piri. But this is not a sedge. It's an iris. It's an iridaceae. And it is, what is it? I can't think of the genus just at the moment. I'll think of it in about 5 minutes. Drop the penny and I get the answer.
Do they use the bulb or?
Yes, you take the bulb and you can just grind it up in water raw, but more often you boil it a little while. And that does the trick. It seems to regulate menstruation, whether it's menopause or not.
And they drink it just one time?
Couple of times, maybe for 2 days. It doesn't seem to be toxic in any way. There haven't been any tests done on it, but I've never heard of anyone's having any bad effects.
Terence, have you brought any of these plants over that she's talking about?
I think that the Chancapiedra, is it?
Oh yes, that.
I think we have that.
Yeah, I think you can get that.
And what did you put on your knee?
Kapinuri.
Kapinuri, we have
Claricia
that.
nitida.
And I would have to have the full printout in front of me, but these are precisely the same plants that we're involved in. The piri-piris, Nicole has mentioned that there are contraceptive ones, abortifacient,
you can't tell which are which.
There's also a hallucinogen.
Oh yes,
And
Chicoro
piri-piri. And I've made great effort to get that one, but not wanting to induce an abortion. Now that I have it, I'm not sure what to do with
well,
it.
it's a different, I think it's a...
I
don't think it's corymbosis.
Well, I don't know. They look...
I'll check it. I have it in my files.
I have 3 species of piri-piri, and they basically, the only way in which they're different is they're little, middle-sized, and big before they stop growing. But otherwise, I can't tell them apart, and they're chemically very complex.
I know.
Yeah. No, but the kinds of plants
I
Nicole
gave up
is
on
talking
those
about,
because of this.
because of
the fact that is apparently not. There's no change, no difference in the genus or the species, and there's it's not a variety. It's some external influence, such as a fungus.
Well, so conceivably,
because they are different chemically.
Someone could do a project where you grew out an uninfected strain and then attempted to infect it with these various strains.
You'd have to get the originals from the Shibibos, though. You see, throughout history, you will go to any village, and you will see little round plots, only about that big round, usually in a village, of piri-piri. And there'll be for any one of the 22 uses that I know of, and probably some more. Running from broken bones, and I told you about the ones you wash your husband's pants with, so he'll be impotent with another woman. And The ones for hunting, they'll make you a good hunter. You rub them on your blowgun. You'll never miss your shot. That sort of thing. Which I don't really think we have much need for in our civilization.
What is the name of the grass that is used on the eyes?
That's Paspalum conjugatum. Paspalum conjugatum. It's a graminea.
This family, the Gramineae, have many indoles and growth hormones, and it seems to be a family loaded with stuff.
It's very interesting.
Very interesting.
There is another grass that the Shipibos say has saved more lives. You see, the Shipibos have some rather interesting customs. If a woman is caught with a man who is not her husband, in a compromising situation, why, everybody drops everything and there's a big fiesta. And the woman is not punished. But the man has to be severely punished because it's his fault. I am in favor of this civilization. He is at the fiesta. Everybody gets very drunk, and then the husband has a special knife for this. Every Shipibo man wears one on a string. It's called a rishati, and it's a knife with a little handle that is a peculiar shape, and a curved blade is cut out of an old machete, and it's only about the blade's only about so long and about as wide as my finger, and the culprit, the seducer, gets a cut across the back of his neck, and he bleeds profusely. It's a deep cut, and of course some of them are proudly scarred from the fact of the weight. And they say he would bleed to death but for this grass, and I don't remember the scientific name. They call it Caña Negra. I have it in my notes. I only got it identified by Sydney. I had been trying for 12 years to get that one identified, and nobody knew it. It looks like sugar cane, and it's purple, but it isn't quite sugar cane, and it's not sweet. And it will stop bleeding. It's a hemostatic, applied locally. And it's wonderful stuff. And he says that all the men in the tribe would practically have bled to death if it hadn't been for that grass, because they always have it growing nearby. And as I was saying, the woman never gets punished. Well, she does. It does only if the other wife decides to take a hand in it. The betrayed wife, and then they have a hair-pulling contest. I was lucky enough to see one. Unfortunately, I didn't have my camera out at the time. And it was back in the boat. And these two women, the women cut their hair straight across here, down here, and then long in the back, is straight and thick and very shiny and beautifully kept. And these two women had each other by the hair, and their heads were down. They looked like fighting elk. And their heads were down, and they weren't going this way. They just were pulling steadily, and they're walking around in a circle. It seemed to be a sort of ritual. And everybody was standing around, and they were all laughing. And the women were furious. And finally they broke it up. But for about 5 minutes while I was there, they were pulling. They didn't pull it out. I don't quite understand it, but it was very interesting to see and extremely funny.
Nicole, what part of the desmodium is used?
It's the whole plant. It's a weed that grows about so high.
So the above ground?
That you use root, leaf, stems, and fruit and flowers. It has these little burrs that stick to you. That's why. They say